Welcome to Life of Neon, where we celebrate Black history, Black culture, and Black excellence through neon art. Check out our collection at lifeofneon.com. Today's lit history is about Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism is the idea that turned into a movement, and its cause was if you came from Africa, or if your mama came from Africa, or if your mama's mamas came from Africa, you should unite for political, economic, and social prosperity, and bring your ass back to Africa so you can make it politically and economically stronger against European nations. The Pan-African movement was founded by intellectuals such as W.E.B. Du Bois, Marcus Garvey, and Kwame Nkrumah. They all believed that there should be an organization to fight against racism and colonialism in Africa. If you look at this map, it's like a mad grab for everything. And while the Portuguese seem very conservative in their conquerings, all of y'all need to get out.
Get out! Trick or treat your ass up out of here. Let's go.
So the goal of the Pan-African movement was to unify the people of African descent from around the world and to unify the continent of Africa under one single government. This movement was the brainchild of Marcus Garvey, who was an activist from Jamaica. He wanted to create a place where Black folk could come together and be a powerful nation without colonization, without racism, and be proud of their heritage, history, and culture. He's famous for saying, "The black skin is not a badge of shame, but rather a glorious symbol of national greatness." He was proud to be blackity black black, and Marcus Garvey was a strong believer in Black liberation and the power of African heritage. Enter Kwame Nkrumah. He and Marcus Garvey were two of the most influential leaders in the fight for independence in Africa. Kwame Nkrumah was the first president of Ghana and a major figure in the Pan-African movement. He played a key role in building the movement as he was an influential thinker and activist who helped shape African nationalism and Pan-Africanism. W.E.B. Du Bois believed that the economic dependency of African Americans on European Americans would lead to political dependency as well. It's like he predicted present-day America. He wrote about the double consciousness that African Americans experience by always looking at themselves through the eyes of others. Julius Nyere. Julius Nyere was the first president of Tanzania. He was a self-educated man who became one of the most influential African leaders in history. He believed in Pan-Africanism and was an advocate for self-reliance and socialism. Nyere's legacy is significant because he helped to build a foundation for the success of Tanzania and other African nations.
He got his own money. And baby, when I tell you he's got his own money, I mean the boy has got his own money!
Patrice Lumumba. Patrice Lumumba was a Colonese politician and independence leader. He was the first democratically elected Prime Minister of Congo. Lumumba's political ideology is Pan-Africanism. This means he wanted to unite Africa and encourage the liberation of its people from European colonial rule. Lumumba was assassinated in 1961, several months after being overthrown by Joseph Mutumbu, who would go on to rule the Congo as a dictator until 1997. The purpose that all these men have in common is for Black people to free themselves from European politics, European economics, European influence, European thing. The first meeting of the Pan-African movement took place in 1919 in London. It was a key event in the struggle for unity and independence. The meeting was organized by Dusé Muhammad Ali, a lawyer from Trinidad who was also an activist for the rights of Africans. In this meeting, Ali called for Africans to come together and form a union to work for the liberation of their people. Representatives from various African countries came together to discuss ways of unifying the continent. They agreed that the only way to fight against European powers was through unity and solidarity. The meeting also proposed a framework for Africa's development that would allow it to become self-reliant, independent, and prosperous. The Pan-African movement will go on to hold conferences in 1947, 1960, and 1970, only to experience a decline by 1971. One of the reasons for the decline in the movement could be attributed to the numerous organizations inspired by Pan-African ideas. Organizations like the Black Panther Party or the NAACP, whose purpose was black empowerment and to combat racism. However, so many different movements sprouted up, and the goal of uniting Africa and reuniting its people to the diaspora never came to fruition. The philosophy and ideas of what Pan-Africanism looks like have evolved, but at the root of the movement is a place where the people of the diaspora are economically and politically free, and not just free from racism and colonization, but also in positions of power and leverage amongst the European nations. Remember this: when Africans were being mistreated in China? See, with an economically fierce Africa, we've got the gold and the diamonds, oil, natural gas. We grow our own food, and if you need some uranium or some platinum or some copper, holla at us, but it's gonna cost you. Oh, and don't forget the cocoa beans. See, with a united Africa, with all of its natural resources in African control, no country in the world would ever get away with mistreating an African citizen. And that's exactly why they'll do everything in their power to keep us divided. Stay lit, y'all.